Hello, seniors! It's been a while, and I hope you are all in good health for today's another discussion. So let us go on the journey of learning on the field of Philippine politics and governance. Brace yourselves and have a happy learning ahead. Citizenship. This lesson will explore on the learner's total awareness and knowledge on citizenship. Before we proceed with our topic, let us first look upon the content standard. Demonstrate an understanding of citizenship. For the performance standard, propose a project on political engagement and youth empowerment. And for the most essential learning competency, the students must be able to explain the importance of active citizenship. So let us proceed with our discussion. Concept of citizenship. Citizenship is the most basic identification of an individual with the nation. It is thus oriented toward the state and is expressed both in law and in policy. It is often characterized in terms of attributes associated with belongingness to a larger community and process by which citizens negotiate the nature and extent of their rights as individuals and their responsibilities to such community. Unlike nationality, this is more of an ethnic or cultural concept. Citizenship relates to a political one. Citizenship is defined as membership of an individual in a political community enjoying political or civil rights. The individual who enjoys these rights is called a citizen of the state. He is distinguished from an alien in that the alien is a citizen not the country where he lives, but of another country. The alien enjoys civil rights but not political rights in the country where he resides. He cannot, for example, vote or hold an elective office. Reciprocally, the membership of the individual implies a duty of allegiance on his part to the state, and in turn the state has the duty to protect its citizens both inside and outside its territory. The state also gives protection to resident aliens, popularly called foreigners, or aliens passing through its territory of their persons and properties. Citizen. A citizen is a member of a democratic community who enjoys full civil and political rights and is accorded protection inside and outside the territory of the state. Citizens may be regarded by all nations either born in their territories or born of their citizens, or it could be both. A citizen is an individual who invested in society and contributes to its ability by performing their civic duties. It is important that each person must understand the value of being a citizen in a certain country. A good citizen must live in peace and harmony with his or her neighbors and fellow citizens. He or she must respect the institutions of his or her country. A citizen must always respect the laws of the state and should have no patience with criminals and antisocial elements. He or she must be vigilant against the enemies of the country. How is citizenship acquired? There are two methods in order to acquire citizenship. It can be by involuntary method or voluntary method. The citizenship by birth or the involuntary method. When a child is born, he or she naturally acquires citizenship based on parentage or blood relations and land or place of birth. Those who acquired citizenship by birth are called natural-born citizens. There are two kinds of citizenship by birth. The first one is jus sanguinis. The principle based on blood relations. A child possesses from the time of birth a citizenship by which is the same as that of parents, or one of them, regardless of the place in which he was born. Thus, a child born in the United States if Filipino parents is a Filipino citizen under jus sanguinis. The other one is jus soli, the principle of citizenship based on the place of birth. The citizenship of the child is determined by the country in which he was born regardless of the citizenship of his parents. Thus, in the former example, the child is an American citizen inasmuch as the American Constitution through the 14th Amendment adopts the doctrine of jus soli. This is on case where the child possesses a dual citizenship. Citizenship by naturalization or the voluntary method. It is the act of formally adopting a foreigner into the political body of the state and clothing him with rights and privileges of citizenship. It implies the renunciation of former nationality. One way to acquire citizenship by naturalization is through by the judgment of the court. The foreigner who wants to become a Filipino citizen must apply for naturalization with the proper regional trial court. He must have all the qualifications and none of the disqualifications provided by the law and must comply with all the procedure and conditions prescribed. The current naturalization law is the Revised Naturalization Act. Another way for citizenship by naturalization is by direct act of Congress. In this case, our lawmaking body simply enacts an act directly conferring citizenship on a foreigner. By administrative proceedings. Under Administrative Naturalization Law of 2000, aliens born and residing in the Philippines may be granted Philippine citizenship by administrative proceedings before a special committee on naturalization, subject to certain requirements dictated by national security and interest. The application must have all the qualifications and none of the disqualifications provided by the law. Who is a Filipino citizen? Those who are citizens at the time of adoption of this Constitution. Citizens at the time of adoption of the 1987 Constitution are those individuals who had the status of being a Filipino citizen under the 1935 and the 1973 Constitutions. The purpose of this provision is to protect the status of those who were already citizens at the time the new Constitution took effect. A Filipino citizen who lost his citizenship at the time of the ratification of the Constitution is not a Filipino citizen. Those whose fathers or mothers are citizens of the Philippines. Those born of Filipino fathers or Filipino mothers are citizens of the Philippines. The father or mother may be a natural-born Filipino or Filipino by naturalization or election. Under this provision, a child born of a Filipino citizen is a citizen of the Philippines, even if the child is illegitimate. In this case, the Constitution does not make any distinction of a child born in or outside wedlock. Those born before January 17, 1973 of Filipino mothers who elect Philippine citizenship upon reaching the age of majority. Citizenship by election refers to those born before January 17, 1973 of Filipino mothers married to aliens who elect Philippine citizenship upon reaching the age of majority, which is 21 years old. If a person was born after the ratification of the 1973 Constitution on January 17, he is a natural-born Filipino citizen under the provision that he was born of a Filipino father or Filipino mother. In the former case, citizens who had elected Philippine citizenship under the 1935 Constitution before January 17, 1973 are natural-born citizens since from their birth they have an inchoate right to elect such citizenship. Those who are naturalized in accordance with the law. Citizens by naturalization are those persons who were formerly citizens of other countries and who applied for naturalization in accordance with law in a certain state in order to become a citizen of that country. The persons involved are called naturalized citizens as distinguished from natural-born citizens. How can citizenship be lost? When a citizen gives up or loses his citizenship voluntarily, the act is called expatriation. In time of war, however, a Filipino citizen cannot expatriate himself. There are several ways which citizenship is lost. Let's look for them one by one. Voluntarily. Losing citizenship according to one's own free will, it includes by naturalization in a foreign country, by express renunciation of citizenship, by subscribing to an oath of allegiance to support the constitution and laws of a foreign country, and lastly, by rendering service to or accepting commission in the armed forces of a foreign country. Involuntarily. Losing citizenship without conscious control or against someone's will. This includes by cancellation of his certification of naturalization by the court, and by having been declared by competent authority a deserter in the Philippine Armed Forces in time of war. How can citizenship be reacquired? Lost citizenship may be reacquired, and the act of reacquisition is called repatriation. There are different ways that citizenship can be reacquired. By naturalization, provided the application possess none of the disqualifications provided in the naturalization law. By direct act of the Congress of the Philippines. By repatriating oneself by taking an oath of allegiance to the state and registering the same in the proper civil registry. Can you acquire more than one citizenship? Dual citizenship means that you have two citizenships at the same time as a result of the interaction of the laws between two countries. A person can be a dual citizen by choice or by birth. An individual can be considered a Philippine dual citizen by choice through the process of Citizenship Retention and Reacquisition Act of 2003. Natural-born Filipinos who have acquired the citizenship of another country through the naturalization may retain or reacquire their Philippine citizenship, making them dual citizens of both the Philippines and the country where they were naturalized. What the Constitution prohibits is not dual citizenship but dual allegiance of the citizens. Dual allegiance refers to the situation in which a person simultaneously owes, by some positive act, loyalty to two or more states. While dual citizenship is involuntary, dual allegiance is the result of individuals' free will or volition. There are few exceptions, however, in the application of the jus soli principle. Children born of foreign diplomats in countries where jus soli is adopted are citizens only of the country in which their parents are citizens. What is the reason for this exception? In the international community, there is a principle honored by nation-states in their relationship with one another, and this is called exterritoriality. Under this principle, foreign diplomats and their respective families are exempted from the local jurisdiction of the state where they reside. In other words, they enjoy diplomatic immunity. Another exemption is children born in the United States of parents temporarily residing there are not citizens therefore, unless they ask for it later. Obligations of Filipino citizens. Citizens should realize that for every right there must be a corresponding duty. If the people are aware not only of their rights but also of their obligations, there will be less misunderstanding and less conflict in society. One of the reasons for the turmoil and ferment in many countries is the attitude of demanding one's rights under the law and yet being forgetful of one's duties as a citizen. That is why Filipino citizens must know their obligations. The important duties and obligations of every Filipino citizen in a democratic society are as follows. The first one is loyalty to the country. Faith and confidence in the Republic and love and devotion to the country is a must. The citizen must be proud of his country, its customs, traditions, language, and institutions. He must share in its glories and feel sad in its misfortunes. The second obligation is defense of the state. An unflinching determination to serve and defend one's country. The citizens receive benefits and protection from the state of which they are a part. In return, it is their primary and honorable duty to defend it against any peril, whether from within or from without. The third one, participation in the development and welfare of the state. The participation in the development and welfare of the state is an act by the citizen can contribute in many ways, by paying taxes willingly and promptly. Another one by cooperating in its activities and projects, by patronizing local products and trades, and by engaging in productive work. For the fourth one, upholding the Constitution and obedience to the law. If the people would disregard the Constitution and the laws, the government would collapse, and this would mean lawlessness and the disintegration of the social order. The Constitution contains provisions designed to ensure that it is accorded the due respect that is deserved. For the fifth one, cooperation with duly constituted authorities. The citizen must also see to it that the laws are observed by the whole community, that the officers of the law attend to their enforcement and properly perform their duties. The sixth obligation, exercising rights responsibly and with due regard of the rights of others. The citizen must, in the exercise of his rights and in the performance of his duties, act with justice, give everyone his due and observe honesty and good faith. Engagement in gainful work. Every citizen should consider it his own responsibility and should strive to become a useful and productive member of society to assure not only himself but perhaps more important, his family a life worthy of human dignity and a part of the Filipino society. Exercise of suffrage. The citizen should register and vote. It is through suffrage that the will of the people is expressed. The quality of public officials and the policies of the administration, indeed the success or failure of the government, depend directly or indirectly upon the voters. So those are the obligations of a Filipino citizen that we must adhere. Do you have any questions? If you have one, you may comment down below or you may send your questions to your teachers for clarifications. Guess it's time to say goodbye for now, my dear learners. See you next time.